Soft wind blows through the deserts of Tatooine. 2 suns set beyond the dunes, and a shadow stirs. Imagine for a moment a world where a single duel changed everything. A single breath, a single second. What if Darth Maul's blade had never pierced Qui-Gon Jinn's chest? What if the wisest Jedi of his generation, the man who saw what the Council could not, had lived to train the Chosen One? Tonight, we travel into that alternate galaxy, a timeline reborn in light and danger, where Qui-Gon survives the Battle of Naboo, and the fate of the galaxy burns in a different fire. Theory 1. The living force spares the mastering. This universe, the duel in Theed, doesn't end the way we remember. Maul's double-bladed saber hums, the energy blinding, but when he lunges for the killing blow, Qui-Gon anticipates it. He tilts his stance just slightly, guided by the living force itself. The crimson blade misses his heart by inches. Obi-Wan strikes, and this time, when Maul falls into the reactor pit, there is no ambiguity. Qui-Gon lives. As the smoke clears, the future shifts. Because the man who truly believed in balance, who believed the Jedi had grown blind, now walks away from that duel alive, carrying with him the fate of the Chosen One. Theory 2. The Council's reluctance. And the first rift, when Qui-Gon returns to Coruscant with both Maul's remains and Anakin Skywalker by his side. The Jedi Council listens. But not with open hearts. Mace Windu still doubts. Ki-Adi-Mundi questions. Yoda warns of danger. Only this time, Qui-Gon doesn't bow. He doesn't say, "Yes, my masters." He says, "You do not see the living force. You are looking backward while the force moves forward." And for the first time in centuries, the Council feels something new, defiance wrapped in truth. They reluctantly grant permission for Anakin's training. But Qui-Gon, sensing the Council's growing rot, tells Obi-Wan privately, "The boy is not meant to be trained their way. The Force has chosen a new path." Theory 3. The Jedi reborn in the desert under Qui-Gon. Anakin's early training looks nothing like temple life. Gone are the rigid codes, the endless lectures on detachment. Instead, Qui-Gon teaches him to feel, to listen to the hum of life, the rhythm of planets, the whispers of destiny. The two travel, from Tatooine to Elam, from Naboo to Kashyyyk, seeking not power, but understanding. Qui-Gon calls this the journey of the living force. He tells Anakin, "To deny your heart is to deny the force itself." And in this timeline, Anakin never learns to hide his emotions. He learns to balance them. The seeds of darkness never take root, because they are acknowledged, not buried. Theory 4. Palpatine's scheme begins to fracture. Meanwhile, in the Senate chambers, Sheev Palpatine watches and smiles. He had expected the boy to come under Obi-Wan's wing, a Jedi easy to manipulate, bound by code. But Qui-Gon? He is unpredictable, dangerous. Palpatine attempts to befriend him, weaving his web of flattery. But Qui-Gon is immune to manipulation. He senses something hollow in the Chancellor's aura, something too still, too precise. Instead of growing closer, Qui-Gon grows suspicious. He begins quietly watching the Senate, noticing patterns of corruption too coordinated to be natural. The Sith's grand plan begins to unravel before it begins. Theory 5. The secret Padawan bond as years pass. Anakin grows, taller, sharper, more curious. He feels things deeply. Joy, love, fear, all seen not as sins but signals. Padme Amidala re-enters his life as an ambassador. Their friendship grows. But Qui-Gon, instead of forbidding attachment, helps Anakin understand it. He says, "Attachment is not the enemy, Anakin. Possession is." That one lesson changes everything. Instead of fearing love, Anakin learns to cherish it without obsession. His dreams of Padme's death never spiral into paranoia, because Qui-Gon teaches him how to face fear, not flee from it. And when the Clone Wars erupt years later, Anakin fights not as a slave to emotion, but as a man guided by both heart and mind. Theory 6. The war that never breaks him. The Clone Wars still come, but differently. Without Dooku's fall into darkness, the Separatist movement is weaker. Qui-Gon's old apprentice, now a true Jedi Master, remains on the Council, fighting to expose the manipulation behind the war. Qui-Gon and Dooku stand together, realizing that the Sith are orchestrating both sides. They form a secret alliance within the Republic, the Circle of the Living Force. Members include Yoda, Obi-Wan, Bail Organa, and Padme. Their mission: uncover the shadow behind the Senate. Palpatine feels the pressure. His moves grow desperate, his every word analyzed by a man who listens not to politics, but to the Force. Theory 7. The Chancellor. Unmasked in this timeline, the war does not drag on for years. Qui-Gon and Dooku's network discovers Kamino's cloning project early. They uncover the mysterious Order 66 inhibitor chips. They trace the funding trails, straight to the office of the Supreme Chancellor. And one night, Anakin, now a respected Jedi Knight, is the one who walks into the Chancellor's office. Just like before. Only this time it isn't rage that fills him. It's clarity. He ignites his saber and says, "I know what you are." Palpatine tries the same words. "Do you know the power of the dark side?" And Anakin replies, "I know fear, but I do not serve it. The jewel that once damned the galaxy now saves it." Theory 8. The fall of the Sith. Before their rise, Sidious is defeated before he can declare an empire. Without him, the Sith lineage collapses. The Jedi Council, broken by their own arrogance, finally sees how close they came to extinction. Qui-Gon refuses to rebuild the Order as it was. He burns the old codes. In their place, a new philosophy rises: the unified force, neither light nor dark, only harmony. Theory 9. The Skywalker legacy. Rewritten, Anakin and Padme's love is no longer forbidden. They marry openly, and when Luke and Leia are born, they are raised in both the Jedi Temple and the Senate halls, symbols of unity. Luke becomes the philosopher, Leia the reformer. Together, they embody both halves of the Force, emotion and reason. And when they reach adulthood, they travel beyond known space, searching for remnants of darkness that still linger. Theory 10. The return of true balance. Far beyond the unknown regions, Luke and Leia discover ancient temples older than the Sith and Jedi combined. They learn that the Force was never meant to be divided. It was humans who fractured it into light and dark. They return to Coruscant with this revelation. Under Qui-Gon's teachings, a new order is formed. Guardians of the Living Force. No hierarchy, no dogma, only balance. The galaxy stands at dawn. Coruscant's skyline glows not with the artificial fire of war, but the soft light of renewal. Temples are being rebuilt, not as monuments of power, but as sanctuaries of knowledge. Children of every species play in the temple gardens, guided by teachers who do not speak of fear or punishment or exile, but of listening, of feeling, of harmony. The Jedi have evolved. Where once they preached detachment, they now practice connection. Where once they shunned emotion, they now learn to master it with grace. And at the center of this reawakening stands a man who should have died, Qui-Gon Jinn. His beard streaked with silver, his voice calm as flowing water. He is not a Grand Master. There are no ranks anymore, no hierarchy, no council of power, only teachers and learners, only those who seek balance in themselves before seeking to bring it to others. And beside him stands Anakin Skywalker, no longer the chosen one in prophecy, but the chosen one in purpose. He walks with Padme Amidala, their children running ahead, laughing, Luke and Leia's laughter echoes in the temple halls, the sound of a future that almost never existed. In this world, they are symbols of unity between the spiritual and the political, between light and dark, between passion and peace. Luke studies under his father and Qui-Gon, learning how to let the Force flow through him, not to control it, but to become it. Leia walks among senators, reshaping the Republic into a truer democracy. One without corruption, one where every voice matters, and in the quiet moments, when the galaxy is still, Anakin looks up at the twin moons and whispers, "Master." Was this the balance the prophecy spoke of? Qui-Gon smiles, that knowing, gentle smile, and replies, "The prophecy was never about destiny, Anakin. It was about choice. The Force doesn't create heroes. It listens to them." A hush falls. The wind hums softly through the temple spires. The stars shimmer, alive, pulsing with the breath of the living Force. But balance is not stillness. It is movement. It is evolution. And even now, beyond the outer rim, something ancient stirs. In the unknown regions, a dark current ripples, older than Sith, older than Jedi. Not a threat born of hatred, but of hunger. A hunger for stagnation, for silence, for the end of motion. The Force trembles, and in that trembling, Qui-Gon knows balance must be maintained again and again, for all time. He turns to Luke and Leia and says softly, "The light will always need to remember its shadow, and the shadow will always need to remember its light." Fade to black. The hum of a lightsaber fades into the wind. The Force whispers one last truth, a truth that carries through eternity. Every choice, every heartbeat, every act of courage reshapes the stars themselves. And in this reimagined galaxy, it all began with one moment, a single decision by a Jedi who refused to die. Qui-Gon Jinn, the man who listened to the living Force and changed everything.